Good afternoon. Today is April 24th, 2015, and we are reflecting on the past two site visits we had from last Friday, April 17th, and today. Last Friday we had School Town of Highland, Indiana come for a visit. This was actually their second time out to Berwyn, and as well as Schiller Park, District 81, and Rockdale School District, and they were here last Friday and they were here today. So last Friday we had the schools that we visited. We went to Irving Elementary School and Piper, and then today we went to Komensky Elementary and Freedom Middle School.
And the teachers the group that we had at these last two visits were made up of elementary and middle school teachers. We had principals, a superintendent, and even a music teacher. So we had like a really great mix and meld of different types of teachers and educators.
The groups were really excited to be here, and they were excited to see the small group instruction that was going on in our classrooms, and how the device, or how the teachers are able to use the device to naturally differentiate the learning going on in the classroom. I know some of the visitors from last week, a couple of them really had a hard time wrapping their head around that there were so many things going on in one classroom, but the device enables us to do that.
Yeah, and I think they were really, particularly this week, the visitors kept saying during the debriefing of how well they were impressed with how the kids were helping each other. So the kids were guiding each other through the lesson, or if they got stuck, it wasn't all about just raising their hand asking the teacher, they were asking each other. And then they were also saying in the debrief how what they really liked seeing in the classrooms was the integration of real life. Like, it wasn't technology thrown on top of the instruction. They were completely integrated. For example, in Jonathan Palace's classroom, they were doing a stock market lesson, and they were doing it in Google Sheets. So the lesson wasn't about teaching Excel, as one of the visitors said. It was about using Google Sheets to teach about the stock market, which was great feedback from them. So speaking of shout-outs, we're going to start with some shout-outs to some teachers from the past 2 weeks. So last Friday, I'd like to give a shout-out to iCoach Todd Bittorf and art teacher Josh Gunderlock, who were working together on a stop-motion project. It was actually really cool because we were walking down the hallway. These kids are in the middle of the hallway. I tweeted a picture out holding an iPad stand that Todd actually made himself, and they were video capturing the other students like walking. So they're in the middle of the hallway with this tall stand and just snapping picture after picture after picture. And then, I don't know, the kids were having fun with it, and they could tell you exactly how many more frames that they needed for their video, and it was really like incredible hallway learning. So my shout out goes to Todd and Josh last week with their stop motion art project.
Mine is from last week as well, and mine goes to Kara Gabriel, who is second grade at Piper. She was doing lots of things in her classroom at once. Again, seeing a lot of differentiation and individual instruction going on. There were different groups working on different projects all at the same time. The one that I was lucky enough to see was second graders working collaboratively in Google Slides on a rainforest project. You could tell a lot of research went into it, and they were doing a good job at finding the pictures. And it is somewhat unusual, at least around here that I've seen, of going as low as second grade using Google Drive. A lot of teachers don't feel comfortable with that. So awesome for Kara, and she says she's rocking it. She loves it. I love the collaboration that they're able to do. So good for them.
And my shout out goes to Lauren Flinker over at Freedom from today. I know she's been through the daiquiri training and has really gotten to use them, but today what we got to see is her actually using the Element 3D shapes. And so the kids that had iPads or phones that they had even brought in and were hovering over the shapes because she was teaching the elements on the periodic table. And when you hovered over them, you could see, okay, chlorine is green, and it looks like this, and when it mixes with magnesium, X, Y, and Z happens. And
right,
so
that's the compound that you get. Right?
Yep, and so it was really unique, and they were working together and talking about the periodic elements through those. So great job, Lauren. I loved seeing that.
And then weren't they recording everything like in the Google Doc? Did you see that?
I hadn't seen that point yet.
So then they were like, after they were doing, then because they had to test out several of them, so then there was that other piece that they had to record what they saw in each one.
That's awesome.
In a Google shared sheet, I think it was.
Great use of Daiquiri.
Yeah, collaborative.
Yes, we love Daiquiri. So my last shout out goes to Allison Laface, fourth grade teacher at Komensky. I've been talking about her all day. So we walk into their room, and all of these the Common Core stands are up on her smartboard, and all the students are in groups working on entirely different things. There are students working on a science experiment. There are kids who are researching in Minecraft, and then collaboratively deciding how they were going to share out what they were learning. There was a group in the corner working in word work, and they were in some picture type app that they had to use to define the word. And so I was confused because I walked up to the teacher, to Allison, and I said, is this Genius Hour? Like, what are you in? And she said, oh, I've entirely reworked my schedule. So she says, I have the entire day, I have all the activities and the expectations of what the students need to complete, and then they work on whatever they want to on their own time. Yeah.
Cool.
And she's like, and then
so
I
by
stop.
the end of the day, they just have to finish whatever on the board. They can do any order they want. That's awesome.
So then she stops, though, every about half hour, and she does a mini lesson. So she might do her mini lesson on a skill that they're learning in reading, but then when they break, the kid can go right back to their science project or can follow up and do that reading. I mean, it was so cool. So
nice.
Everything and what was going on in every center in her room was above the line. So great job, Allison. That was awesome.
Last week, our attendees for the debrief were Kara Gabriel from Piper, again, and Assistant Principal Bill Davini, and from Irving School, Mary Havis, and third grade teacher Grace Kowalski. That was last week's debrief attendees. Thank you very much for coming. Everyone appreciated your time and enjoyed asking you questions about your classrooms.
And today we had a really great conversation about the amazing things that were happening in the schools with Principal Jeremy Majeski from Komensky and special ed fifth grade teacher Ryan Kozin. So thank you for coming. Your input and perspective was really helpful to the whole group.
Definitely. We appreciate the time you guys take to leave your buildings. So we're going to end with our favorite evaluation quotes. And so our favorite quote from last week's visit was from a fifth grade teacher. The time in the classroom was perfect. I observed teachers who were able to teach on a variety of platforms in a differentiated environment. I am grateful for the teachers who opened their rooms to me. Which is very nice. And then today, our favorite quote was also from a teacher, but I see him being a future administrator. So he said, your district has inspired ours to go one-to-one. I mean, what better, can't get any better than that. So thank you to our visitors who came. Thank you all of our teachers and buildings who opened up your doors. This group ended today by saying they were so impressed with the teachers and with how welcoming everybody was into their classroom, how nice they were. They would walk right over to them and say, hey, do you have any questions? Can I help you with whatnot? So the visitors were very impressed by all of you. So thank you, Berwyn South teachers. Great site visit.
Thanks.